With great power comes great responsibility. That is the mantra of my favorite character, Spider-Man. And that is actually the subject of this vlog slash podcast. If you want to hear more, stay tuned. Reggie here, your friendly neighborhood bodybuilder and comic book collector. And I want to welcome you to another one of my vlogs. I have actually been asked this question several times over the last couple of months of why, Reggie, do you like Spider-Man so much? That is the question. And I don't think it comes from a place of people challenging why I like or questioning why I like Spider-Man. It's more, I think, from a place of trying to understand, because there is a plethora of fantastic comic book characters out there. And I think people are just curious, like, why? Why this character? What is it about this character that actually floats your boat? That is the topic of this vlog. So we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about my favorite character and the rationale behind it. And, at the end of the day, my goal is to help you guys to better understand, what it is about this character that resonates with me, right? And my guess is that as you listen to this, you're going to be thinking about your own favorite character or your own favorite characters. And I would definitely encourage you, if you can, if you're listening to this on YouTube, to actually drop a comment or two into the comment section to tell me who your favorite characters are and the rationale behind it. It's all in the spirit of sharing and all that good stuff. So why is it that I love Spider-Man? It's like chicken or the egg, right? To some degree or another, right? Did Spider-Man choose me or did I choose Spider-Man? That is like the big question. And honestly, I don't know. But when people ask these questions, I feel like I have to come up with some kind of answer. And so it forces me to examine myself. It forces me to examine why I like the things that I like, which I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think it's actually a healthy thing to, instead of just going with the flow, to actually have some thought invested into it. And so I definitely appreciate when people ask the question, because it forces me to think, which I think that's a great thing. So as I mentioned in the intro, when you talk about Spider-Man and Peter Parker, you are definitely talking about with great power comes great responsibility. That is the mantra. That is the mandate. That is the valuable lesson that he learned early on that has set the tone for this character. For decades, it comes back to this. And I'm a big fan of that because I believe that it is true. When you are fortunate, when you have talents, ability, when you have wealth, when you have intelligence, whatever it is, I think that there comes a certain responsibility with those things. And this mantra actually dovetails with my upbringing. My upbringing was one that was very moral, right? And so it resonated with me as a kid because of the lessons that were being learned at home and also in church. And so I definitely get on board with this idea of responsibility for those that are fortunate and better off than other people that may be around them. So I definitely like that mantra. I like there being a higher calling, if you will, to the actions that someone takes. So I definitely get that. Peter Parker, if you think about him and Spider-Man, has a tremendous, again, getting back to great power, great responsibility, he has a tremendous allegiance to his family. Tremendous sense of responsibility for doing what is right to take care of his family. And if you've ever read some of the early Amazing Spider-Man stuff, you see a ton of, I need to get the money together to take care of Aunt May. Aunt May needs to take a vacation. Aunt May is sick and I need to do what needs to be done. There are countless stories where Peter Parker and Spider-Man are challenged with finding that balance between wanting to live one's life, to have some fun, to have a girl, to have a job, to have a motorcycle, or I think it was a Spider-Mobile at one point, and trying to do what was in the best interest of the family, making sure that he was checking in on her and not staying out all hours of the night because he knew that she was going to be worried, and I dig that. I dig that allegiance to family. I dig that sense of responsibility to do what is in the best interest of the family while at the same time living one's life. I definitely appreciate that. As someone that was, raised up to believe in family and to protect family and to take care of family, this is, again, just part of the reason why Spider-Man and Peter Parker is something that resonates with me. The concept of the character dovetails with my own beliefs, my own thoughts, and how I choose to live my life. And so that I think that that's really important. Peter Parker is also, if you think about it, he does not look like a hero. He doesn't look like a hero, especially in the early like Steve Ditko, John Romita Sr. comics, right? He does not look like a hero, right? He would blend into the background, like your Flash Thompson or somebody like that seemed more the heroic type, right? That would rush into battle, not nerdy, puny, punky Peter Parker. But yet, that is exactly what he did, right? He was not the person that was viewed as being heroic, yet he was the hero. And I like to think of him to some degree or another as like a humble hero. He did what had to be done because he had the ability to actually do something. He struggled with that balance of, making it to class and paying rent and all that other good stuff, but with being a hero. And I think that is very human. That is very human of Peter Parker and Spider-Man. And I kind of contrast that to what I understand about Captain America, for example, right? Captain America is always like, rah, rah, let's do the best that we can do because the best that we can do is all that we can do. Rah, rah, right? That to me is like Captain America, right? And I think over the years, that character has received some additional texture and context where they've actually fleshed him out a little bit more than just being a walking flag. And so, but again, that was my early impression of Captain America, that he was very one-dimensional, very rigid in his beliefs and his philosophy and his outlook, right? I don't know that I've ever seen Captain America struggle with paying rent. Unlike Peter Parker, right? He faced real human everyday problems while at the same time being a hero. That's part of the reason why I dig the character, right? He was the accidental hero, right? You again contrast him to Captain America. Captain America went into this trying to basically be a hero, trying to be a symbol, a beacon, if you will. Again, based upon my understanding of Captain America, unlike Peter Parker, who was just trying to hang out at a cool lab and gets bit by a spider. He was just trying to hang out and do nerdy stuff. And now he has all these powers and he learns through trial and error what it takes to actually be a hero. And I like that. I always enjoyed that from my earliest days collecting comics, right? Because you have to also remember my fascination, or even my addiction to comics started a long time ago, right? This was back in the 90s, back when I was, a teenager in Michigan. And so these ideas of Peter Parker and Spider-Man have been with me for a very long time. And yes, I stopped collecting for, 20 years or whatever it was, but those fundamental things that connected me to that character are still there because those fundamental things are who I am as a person. And so it makes sense. One of the other things that I absolutely love about Spider-Man Peter Parker is his sarcastic wit. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Drop a sarcastic comment. I am a big fan of sarcasm. With Peter, making his quips and, teasing and taunting the villain that he happened to be squared off against in the hopes of getting them off balance to best them, even when he was on the losing side of a battle. He used his wit, he used his mind, he used his intellect to actually come out on top. Who doesn't love that? right? Who doesn't love a little sarcastic comment, you know? So I definitely dig that aspect of the character because I too have a very sarcastic wit, even though I don't necessarily demonstrate it on the YouTube or the other vlogs or the podcast or whatever, partly because sarcastic wit can sometimes be taken the wrong way, especially if you don't have enough familiarity with that person. It can be taken the wrong way. So I try to not do it unless it's like face to face and in person, and that way I can manage it a little bit easier. I think back to Amazing Spider-Man 33, if my numbers are correct. And if you haven't read Amazing Spider-Man 33, I definitely want to encourage you to read it. Because in this, and I've actually done a video on this thing, in this comic, you actually see so many aspects of Peter Parker being a hero, demonstrating with great power coming great responsibility, demonstrating responsibility to family, demonstrating heroism, demonstrating sacrificing oneself for the greater good. If you read Amazing Spider-Man 33, you will see all of that on display. You will see it. This dude is trapped under a massive machine, trapped there by Doc Ock and his henchmen. He has a serum that is needed by his aunt to help her live. She is dying in a hospital, and he is trapped under this machine, close to drowning, close to dying himself. And all he can think about is, I have to get up, free myself, get this serum to my aunt so that she can live. And oh, by the way, I am going to mollywop these henchmen because they are bad guys. It is a awesome comic that I actually had an opportunity to pick up 4 months ago or something like that. I actually have it now in my collection, and I'm pumped because it's a cool book. It is a cool book that demonstrates all the reasons why I love Peter Parker. It is a wonderful moral story of what it takes to be a man. That's what it demonstrates, what it takes to be a man, to not give up, to put oneself on the line, to deliver for something greater than yourself. It is a fantastic comic. So when you ask me why I love Spider-Man, why I love Peter Parker, those are just some of the reasons, right? We can go on to talk about the cool costume, the fantastic artists and writers that have worked on this title over the decades, going all the way back to Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko and John Romita Sr. The list goes on and on with those talented creators that have actually touched this character. That's an easy one. You can even talk about all of the first appearances. Think about Spider-Man's rogue gallery. Think about the cast of characters that surround this man, this hero. Whether you're talking about costumed characters or not, there are hundreds of characters that literally surround this character. And the list of why I like this particular character goes on and on and on and on. And I've only mentioned just a couple here just to provide just a little bit of context. And I hope that it helps. I hope that it actually helps answer some of the questions that people have about why Spider-Man. Now I can point them to a vlog that encapsulates most of what my thoughts are. But again, I am curious as to who your favorite character or characters are and the rationale behind it. So be sure to drop those thoughts into the comment section so that we can kind of mix it up and learn from one another and see what it is that you gravitate towards and the rationale behind it. As always, I want to thank you guys for taking the time to listen to this vlog. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, I definitely want to encourage you to do so. That way you can stay abreast of all the content that I release on a daily basis.